The 2025 annual general meeting of ID4Africa is being held here in Ethiopia, Addis. And earlier on, several speeches have been delivered. Ethiopian Prime Minister, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Executive Chairman of ID4Africa, His Excellency Dr. Joseph Atix, and Director of Ethiopian National ID Program, Yodahe Arias-Lase, all have delivered their speech. And now panel discussion is going to be conducted, and the panel discussion will focus on digital identity in Ethiopia, the progress and the way forward. I warmly invite you to attend this program.
First of all, I invite my panelists to the stage. His Excellency Dr. Belete, Minister of Innovation and Technology. I welcome you to the stage. Her Excellency Tigist Hamid, Director General of Information Network Security Administration. I welcome you to the stage. His Excellency Yonas Alamayo, Director General of Addis Ababa Civil Registration and Residence Service Agency. I welcome all of you to the stage. Our panel will be focused on Ethiopia's digital journey overall, and somehow we will touch upon the important subject to this audience of ID, was the digital Ethiopia overall. We'll have 3 rounds of questions. The first one will focus on foundation and vision. Second one will focus on progress and practical implementation. Third one will be about integration, inclusivity, and the road ahead, because today we're finalizing the Ethiopian Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy. We're now looking at the next 5 years. We're going to talk a little bit about Digital Ethiopia 2030. So before I start my questions to my distinguished panelists, I would like to talk about, in the morning I had a chance to talk a little bit about the Ethiopian Digital ID progress. It's a 3-year-old program. More than 15.6 residents have been registered so far. We're scaling not only in the city, but in very rural locations, in rural parts of Ethiopia. It's a very big population. We have 120 million plus people. We have, as I mentioned earlier, more than 55 different government agencies, such as tax revenues, financial institutions, trade, a lot of basic services. Opening a bank account, buying your train ticket, buying land, things like this have been integrated into digital ID, so a lot of integrations are happening. We've created dependencies. It's not only about voluntary registrations. Some services make it mandatory to get FIDA, and that's how we're doing the scaling up. We have a good legal infrastructure in place. We've seen Mr. Abdulwali from Somalia mentioning the importance of a good legal framework. So digital ID and digital Ethiopia as a whole has had a very good legal backing. We're not only doing pilots and technical projects without legal backing. We have a very good legal legislation in place. Our journey is built on collaboration. It's not a standalone project. All of what we do, starting from the registration we do on the ground up to the cloud infrastructure and the platforms, it's based on collaboration. But at the same time, we focus on technology ownership. For the Ethiopian government, for us, it's important to be sovereign in terms of technology ownership. So technology sovereignty is important. So that being said, I will quickly introduce my distinguished panelists. So His Excellency Dr. Belete Molla Getahun, he is a cabinet member and a Minister of Innovation in the Ministry of Innovation and Technology of Ethiopia, serving since October 2021 to date. He's also a staff member, currently on leave of Addis Ababa University, where he obtained his bachelor's in 2005 and his PhD in 2021, both in philosophy. He obtained an MA Applied Ethics from Norwegian University of Science and Technology in 2008 under the Erasmus Mundus Mobility Scheme. Her Excellency Tigist Hamid, she is a highly accomplished cybersecurity and network engineering professional with 17 years of experience. She began her career at the Information Network Security Administration, INSA, in 2007, progressed from network and data center engineer to director of the Network Engineering and Project Management Department for 13 years. During her tenure at INSA, she led and contributed to numerous critical network information systems in Ethiopia, including Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, National Bank of Ethiopia, Ministry of Defense, and other organizations. Following her tenure at INSA, she served as technology advisor at the Minister of Transport for 1.5 years. She then returned to INSA, serving as Deputy Director General for 1.5, and currently she now leads the administration as a Director General. Her Excellency Tigist Hamid holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering and an MSc in Cyber Security from Robert Gordon University, UK. His Excellency Jonas Alamayo is a dedicated public leader, currently serving as Director General of Addis Ababa City Administration Civil Registration and Residence Service Agency. He brings extensive experience in civil registration, legal identity, having held multiple leadership roles within the agency over the years. Jonas' professional background also includes impactful service as a public prosecutor and an assistant judge. He holds a Master's of Laws in Human Rights at Addis Ababa University, where he also served as a part-time assistant lecturer. During his postgraduate studies, he earned his bachelor from Mekelle University, a fellow of the Young Africa Leaders Initiative. Jonas combines legal expertise, leadership, and a deep commitment to public service. Now we start with the first round of questions. So the first question is to His Excellency, Dr. Belleta. So we talk about, in the first round, foundations and vision. Where is Ethiopia now in terms of the strategic foundation? As outlined in the Digital Ethiopia strategy, digital public infrastructure is a key enabler, forming the backbone of what we call the Ethiopian stack. Dr. Belleta, Digital Ethiopia 2025 was a bold and visionary roadmap. From a leadership perspective, how do you assess its progress so far, and what have been the key enablers or constraints in turning strategy into impact?
Such a pleasure to be a part of this awesome gathering. And I should say there is no better time than today to discuss about the achievements and perhaps gaps of Digital Ethiopia 2025, as we are coming to end of the implementation of the strategy. The strategy has been on implementation for the last 5 years, and now it will come to an end this June. So that's why I said there was no better time, than now or today. So let me approach the question from a wider, rather philosophical or human perspective, that talking about digital transformation is not about a technical project. It's about a human project, because when we design a strategy, policy, digital strategy, policy, we have to always understand that we are putting the human, the subject, at the center of our implementation. So dealing with digital transformation is dealing about most profound philosophical questions, issues, and concerns, such as identity, for example, what it means to be, what it means to be a human person, known, recognized by the system. It is also about the profound issues like agency, how to empower our citizens, be themselves, so making decisions themselves. So we have such profound issues always to be perceived at the center of digital transformation agenda: justice, identity, agency, inclusion, and access. So as we implement, as we build and implement, for example, digital ID programs, we have to make sure that our programs are implemented along with such an understanding. So when we design such programs, we have to take into account ethical dimensions of our program. So it is against this background that I want to address your question, Yodahi. Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy, exactly as you said, is a bold, visionary, ambitious strategy and roadmap, but it is designed to be much more than just a roadmap. It is actually a national commitment, a commitment that aims to redefine, reimagine, and also to repurpose how the Ethiopian state, the Ethiopian societies, the Ethiopian economy and everything could go along with the digital age, how the Ethiopian state could adopt with the digital age and so on. So it's all about empowerment. So from a leadership perspective, I should say that the digital journey is still unfolding. There will come no point of ending. It's a process, a never-ending process. We may come up with strategies, we satisfy and exhaust timelines and so on, but there will never come a time when we say that we have now come to a closure. We have now no need for introducing new digital strategies and policies. We always march along. So that being the case, I can confidently tell that we have, in the last 5 years, we have been able to score strong foundational achievements. We have a foundational strong achievement so far. But like I said, there is no ending. We still are trying our best in terms of pooling resources, capital, putting together efforts and so on, from government and private. So, so far in 5 years' time, when we take, for example, pillars like digital ID, digital payment systems, and interoperability platforms, data exchange platforms, we have moved from strategy to action across such critical pillars. So taking digital ID, for example, it was being stated this morning, about 50 million Ethiopians have been registered. This is quite remarkable. This is maybe the size of like 2, 3, or 4 African peoples put together. This is remarkable. But our aim, our target is very staggering because, you know, Ethiopia is the second most populous nation in Africa. We have about 120 million people. So the effort shall continue. And when we take digital payment systems, this is an area where we have achieved so much, I can say. Now that we have 2 operators, Ethio Telecom and Safaricom, together we have been able to affect about 90 million people, 86 to 90 million people who are using mobile apparatus. This is, one critical aspect of digitalization. Also, about 52 million people are using data, internet. This is what it means to empower people, in any case, so that they can leverage the digital development to their own benefit. And when it comes to data exchange platforms, we are also working on that, meaningfully. So we are moving from strategy to action across such critical pillars. And when we talk about enablers, because the question is about progress, enablers and gaps. Enablers, I think, just to mention a few, high-level political commitment is one of the most important enablers so far, so that we have come all along, because of such a high-level political commitment. Also, a whole of government approach is another enabler to be mentioned. Now that ministries, government agencies are having better coordination platforms. 5 years back, most of the government agencies were working in silo, no cooperation. But now we are coming up with structures, steering committees structures, interministerial structures. We are also building legal frameworks that would facilitate, cooperation between and among government agencies. So this approach, whole of government approach and coordination, is also another enabling factor to be mentioned here. But these success and achievements are not without success, without gaps, challenges. We have outstanding challenges that remain to be, for example, gaps in capacity, skill gaps, This remains to be one of the outstanding challenges that we have. Also, some institutions have inertia. They don't just move. So this is also another important challenge. Again, infrastructure, capital remains to be a challenge. I mean, Ethiopia being a vast country, not just demographically, but geographically as well, we still have areas, regions that remain to be remote. So reaching out to such communities, places, remains to be a very huge challenge. So, I mean, despite all this, we have been adoptive. Our approach has been adoptive. We have been learning, adjusting, and we are building not just systems, but governance, because it's about governance. So these are my few points I want to say about the question, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Belleta. You gave us a very good summary of Digital Ethiopia. It's a national strategy. Tigist Hamid, can you elaborate more about the role and the key principles of the Digital Ethiopia Council, and how is it helping with the whole of government approach towards digital?
First of all, I would love to start from the structure of the Digital Council. As Yodahe mentioned earlier, the Digital Ethiopia Council is established by our Prime Minister, and it's chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister. To mention some of the structural aspects, we have been asked INSA, the secretary for the Digital Ethiopia Council. It's integrated with different government sectors, from the policy and legal aspect. Ministry of Innovation, Dr. Belleta is there. From the infrastructure and utility aspect, Ethio Telecom is part of the Digital Council. We do have AI. As we all know, emerging technologies is a key point for making a robust digital transformation in the country. Beyond that, we have a private sector as a key enabler for the Digital Ethiopia Council, and we do have 3 private sectors representative to this Digital Ethiopia Council. The main objective for this Digital Council is to lead, as mentioned earlier by His Excellency Dr. Belleta, to lead the digital transformation as well as the Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy. For that, the Council is leading all the initiatives from the government aspect, from the policy, national initiatives, and beyond. From that aspect, the role, specifically the main role that Yodahe was mentioning, is the first thing to mention and to enhance interoperability between different government organizations. As we all know, we do have a siloed approach in investing in technology in different government organizations. So since resource is very scarce, as most of our colleagues from the previous panelists mentioned, we have not that capability to invest here and there. So the Digital Council is mandated to collect and to integrate each investment from the technology aspect, from infrastructure, from cloud, from data center, and other aspects. From that aspect, interoperability is the main pillar of the Digital Ethiopia Council. The second one, security. As we all know, data privacy and data security was mentioning here and there. So in order to have a data privacy as well as inclusive and data accessibility, we have to have a secure by design principle from the scratch of building technological investment. The third one is to encourage the local entrepreneurs. So as we mentioned earlier, the Digital Ethiopia Council is led by the Digital Ethiopia strategy. So enhancing the local capability. Specifically, local companies should be the pioneer for making the digital transformation and the digital economy to play their key role. So we do have that pillar as well. The third one is using open source. As it is mentioned early in the morning by the keynote speech of our Prime Minister, we focused on open source in order to reduce and minimize the dependability on maintenance, upgrading, and other aspects of the vendor-locked systems. So as we have seen, National ID, our FIDA system, is started from open source MOSIP platform. So we use that principle for all national platforms to use and to build up on the top of open source platforms. So this is one of the key role that the Digital Council is following. From this aspect, the main thing, in order to have a capable and ensured infrastructure, we have to have the capacity building as well. As we all know, we do have 5 million coders initiative as Ethiopia. So National Digital Council also leading the capacity building and knowledge transfer from different sectors to be in the same table and to be led from the sector. So the main thing that the Digital Council the last 2 years did was, of course, following all the digital initiatives, national initiatives, interoperability, as well as key priority areas. So that national ID was one of the key priority area that the Digital Ethiopia Council was leading and following in order to reach this, the 50 million enrollment. But we have to have following up on the other aspects from the accessibility of the system and others from the system aspect. But the main concern that we have been working is it will create transparency and accountability, since national ID has and other systems need data privacy, as well as, it's a controversial thing, data privacy as well as data security. And in the meantime, people should have accessibility. We have to make sure no one is left behind. So since we are leading at the national level, we are considering the rural areas, women, and disabled people as well in being inclusive, since it needs a detailed follow-up and accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Next, I go to the city government of Addis Ababa. I'm sure coming in, most of you have seen the tremendous transformation the city is going through. If you have not, I welcome you to take a walk in the city. It's a beautiful infrastructure. The corridor development project is one of the biggest projects happening here in Addis. So to Jonas, who's the DG of civil registration here in Addis, the first question would be about Addis Ababa is not only developing its corridors, you're also taking part in the digital economy, you're supporting the digital ID project fully. What can you give us as an example? Public events, awareness creation, how are you making sure that the residents of Addis Ababa are keeping up with not only the physical and the infrastructure transformation, but with the digital way of doing things, including the FIDA registration campaign? If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you, Yodahe. Welcome everyone once again. So when you talk about Addis Ababa is striving to build a new smart city. We have considered that the ID management system is one of the pillars for smart city. In a simple way, smart city cannot be realized without identity management system. So as civil registration and residency service agency, we are striving to strengthen the identity management system in Addis Ababa so that the city administration will give effective and efficient service to the residents. Because of the fact that one of the concepts of smart city is digital governance. So Addis is not only building the physical infrastructure to make livable for the residents, but also to realize digital Ethiopia 2025. Coming to your question, we have been engaging with FIDA registration for the past months. What we are doing is not only creating an awareness for the residents, but also for the government structure. The modalities that we have been using for awareness includes not only for government structures, but also school educations have been also included in this case. As far as the identity management is concerned with a system, we should have to engage the importance of both civil registration and digital ID in the next generation, so that the government will enroll in this education system to create the digital Ethiopia that we want. So for the past months, we have engaged in different public awareness campaigns, medias, and face-to-face trainings for various stakeholders, including public servants, security personnel, and so on. So what we are looking deep into the administration is the commitment that we are seeing for the past months, this is a very serious importance that it should have to be learned in this case. The commitment from our Prime Minister to the Mayor of Addis Ababa is, it is an important role for the successful accomplishment of registration. You can see that for the past 2.5 years, we have registered 5.6 million digital ID registrations. In just 5 months, we have made possible with other stakeholders, including our own Ethio Telecom, that 2.6 new registrations have been achieved. So engagement in this case can be expressed in terms of commitment by the city administration, not only in commitment in terms of political commitment, but also investment. The investment that is invested in Addis Ababa civil registration is, tremendous. So I can say that the commitment is there. We are cooperating in line with civil registration and the ID platform, so that we can say that the awareness creation campaigns and educations are going well.
Thank you so much, Excellency Jonas. The next, we have a few questions up in the slide. On the second round, we'll do it a little bit faster. The top question here is, how is Ethiopia harmonizing digital ID with birth registration? So I'll come back to you. But first, let me ask Dr. Belete about the impact. When we talk about Digital Ethiopia 2025, there is financial inclusion, there is service digitization, digital trust. How are these linked to ID, to FIDA ID? How do you see financial inclusion, service digitization, and digital trust and digital ID working together?
Thank you. Thank you again, Yodahe. The digital ID through the FIDA system is probably the most fundamental enabler for digital transformation. If a digital transformation is to happen, it must be that we put in place digital ID systems. Without putting in place digital ID systems, I doubt if this transformation could happen, because this is the most, probably the most fundamental key element. So in digital ID is all about identity, agency, about justice, inclusion, and access. And when we design it in a way that identities are taken not just as a tool, but as in itself. Identity is a foundational public good. So it's an end in itself, because it enables rights, it enables access and inclusion. So coming to the question, we have 3 areas where digital ID is impacting. One is financial inclusion. I mean, being a simple adoption of digital ID through the FIDA system, and being a verifiable digital KYC. Digital ID is now enabling financial institutions, the traditional banks, and perhaps digital banking systems to bring on board societies, marginal societies that previously used to be marginal societies, like low-income communities, rural communities. Women and youth are being transformed. So it's definitely affecting financial inclusion. And service delivery is also another important aspect of digital ID application. Now that it's being applied in social platforms, civil service platforms, legal platforms, not just in financial platforms. So it is creating trust. It is promoting trust. I mean, people are more inclined to come on board to a digital platform if there are laws, legal frameworks that would protect their data and privacy. So we have just introduced and approved a personal data protection law last year that would provide the platform, an environment, so that people would have trust to come on board to digital ID systems. So these are some of the issues, I mean, that can be that can be said, I mean, key enablers of the key impacts of digital ID application. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're being told we have less than 8 minutes left, so we'll quickly go through the questions. The next one is, there has been mention of data exchange. It's a part of the digital stack in any country. We have in Ethiopia launched something called Mesob. Maybe Excellency Tigist, if you can elaborate about Mesob.
Thank you, Yodai. For the sake of time, I will try to make it a bit brief. I will start from the definition of Mesob. Mesob in our language means a plate that a family can share their main dishes. So we name it, of course, the abbreviation defines for modern Ethiopian service for organized benefit. But as abbreviation, it means a shared plate for a family dinner or any meal. So why we mentioned Mesob? Since different government organizations use different siloed approach in providing service to the public. So that gives, of course, the people will criticize the government service as well as the efficiency and other issues will be impacted. So to relieve that, last 2 months before, we inaugurate Mesob as organizing different public sector service providers to be in one place to give a one-stop service. So the back-end from the Mesob's principle is the data exchange principle that we develop ourselves here locally. Because why we are using this, since we are sharing data, we have to have in the same place, we need a national data center concept in order to have data security in the same place. But the main thing behind the scene is using the data exchange platform through the secure encryption algorithms. For instance, my colleague in the previous panel from Mauritania, he was mentioning about infrastructure, PKI. So we do have, as INSA, we are the root certificate authority for PKI service. We integrate these government services in one place, but securing the data behind and accessible to the citizen in adequate time and efficient time. So people, in order to get Mesob service, they will come and use their national ID as the main point of entrance, so that all the back-end systems integrated through data exchange platform that developed in-house. Then currently people are using this service. Of course, we would love to add more government services. Currently we are using for 12 government organizations like the document authentication, Ministry of Revenue, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So everybody, to get one single service, they don't have to travel to each ministry offices. So it minimizes the time spent that our citizens going here and there to get that service, as well as the time elapsed to get the very urgent services in one place. So this service is planned to be duplicated to regional offices as well as rural areas in small movable and addressable environment. So behind Mesob, there is a secure PKI infrastructure as well as a data exchange platform that's developed everything in-house from the encryption as well as the access perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now next, quickly to Jonas, the top rated question up there. It says, how is Ethiopia managing to integrate ID with civil registration? So perhaps if you can touch upon that, especially in the context of Addis Ababa. It's not only birth certificates, there's also Kabale ID, which is the resident ID. So all of these civil registration and residential services, how are they being connected to FIDA and to digital ID?
The link between civil registration and ID is quite clear. It's a burning issue all over many of the countries that are engaging in this platform. For us, although there is an argument which is stated as civil registration should have to be prioritized and the ID should have to follow, or vice versa, for Ethiopia, I think both can go hand in hand. They both are two sides of a coin. So in fact, it's true that birth registration is a cornerstone for identity management platform, but I think the Ethiopian mode of implementation can be an exemplary in this case. Nowadays, Ethiopia has adopted a new civil registration and family registration law, which will enable these two platforms to implement in a way that can effectively build the digital ID platform. So in the case of Addis Ababa, our agency is responsible for civil registration across Addis Ababa city. We have launched more than 157 one-stop service for birth and days registration. We have also adopted the resident ID platform integrated with civil registration. So I think the Addis Ababa case can be considered as a small model for integration of civil registration and residency service when we come to ID as well.
Thank you. On the final round, let me again ask you one more question. When we talk about inclusion, there is also the risk of security. When you are registering someone without background check, without a lot of other requests, background documents, etc., there is a risk. With FIDA, we register refugees, we register foreigners. In Addis Ababa, we register people that are not residents of Addis Ababa, but they still are here for one reason or another. So how to balance the two?
For the beauty of identity management system is its inclusion nature. The Ethiopian mode of civil registration is quite right-based approach. It means no one should have to be left behind. So all individuals living in Ethiopia should have to be registered. We should have to bargain the balance between security and inclusion as well. Not having data of individuals residing in Ethiopia will cause a serious catastrophic disaster than not having. So including the residency service in Addis Ababa, we can learn a lot from this experience as well. If you have data of individuals living here in Ethiopia, you have more access to balance the concern of security as well. So Ethiopia is keen to oblige to the international legal frameworks, so we can balance, and I think there is no wide problems that may occur in this case.
Thank you. To Tigist, you mentioned secure by design. It's an important principle. Perhaps if you can touch a little bit upon the payment gateway, MESO, digital ID, and PKI, how do they all work together to make the life of a citizen as simple and as convenient as possible?
Perfect. As we always mention, security is the main pinpoint for every digital automation and digital transformation. So as Ethiopia, we established INSA back 17 years ago to have our own national security framework. So from that point, we define security. Of course, we have to have defense in depth principle. In order to do that, you have to embed security by design principle in every technological aspects, like infrastructure, cloud, automation, everything. It needs to see why we design. When we design, we have to think about security. Security is not an afterthought. It should come first from when you design. So we apply this as a security agency. We follow all digital transformation projects first to define during the design phase, so that we have to have a robust and secure infrastructure, automation, human capacity building, everything. So in order to have that, the first thing that we use, as Yodahe is asking from the national ID aspect, we do the design by principle concept in biometrics registration aspect. And then from the data storage as well as data in transit aspect. So we design when we are going to implement any project, we have to start thinking about security first. It's not a stack that comes at the last. So we have to think about that in every technological aspect. The main thing behind the scene, encryption should come first when you design. In order to have a data storage, data transition, and data access, you have to think data security from design level. The second one, from payment gateway aspect, we have to think about, of course, from the national security aspect, we always focus in tokenization, end-to-end encryption, and following international standards when it comes to secure by design, like PCI DSS and other payment requirements. In order to have the payment gateways should be secure by design. The last one, from the PKI aspect, since we are launching in the last September the first national PKI infrastructure that developed locally here in our country. We use this integration for our electronic passport, electronic documentation, and electronic ID systems. We integrate the certificate for data in transit and data storage. I think for the sake of time, I will end up on this.
Thank you so much. We're running over time. Just, if you allow me, Dr. Joseph, just one to wrap up, Dr. Belete. We have your counterparts here, many African countries represented. So what can we share from the journey of Ethiopia Stack, from the Ethiopian digital transformation journey to others?
Thank you. Definitely, we believe there should be lessons to be learned from the Ethiopian experience of digital implementation. And what I tell now to our African brothers and sisters and beyond is what we actually did. Start with a strategy, because without having a strategy, we cannot have a clear direction about how to make digital transformation actually happen. So we need to start with a strategy actually that is rooted in our national priorities and in our local realities. So you need to also, this is what we did, as I said, focus on some sectors that have the potential to transform livelihoods. In our case, the digital strategy is centered on agriculture, tourism, mining, manufacturing, and digital-enabled services. We invest on this so that transformation could happen. And my other point as a lesson to be learned is design a strategy for coordination. I mean, a strategy may be impressive, but if it is not allowing coordination between inter-government sectors, agencies, it would be difficult to implement it and to make a transformation happen. So in our case, like I said earlier, we have a council, we have interministerial steering structures, we have also the necessary legal frameworks and policies put in place. So we need to have this, we have to make sure this may be a lesson to be learned. Also, we need to invest on public trust. We have to have the legal frameworks that would give our public the confidence when they come to digital transactions. So these are my points.
Thank you so much. Please thank my panelists.